Morning. Today I'm going to show you actually how to put up a Magnum 250 coal. The only tools I require for this job, a can of Aquatex and a mallet. Everything else is supplied with the actual awning. What actually comes with the actual awning is the frame, the fix-ons to attach the poles to the actual canvas, the draft skirt and the wheel arch cover, and obviously the dressing up points, the curtains and the door ties. First thing I've actually done when erecting any awning is to lay a protective ground sheet on the floor to keep the awning nice and clean. The first job after this is to fit the draft skirt and wheel arch cover. Once this has been done, the next thing I'm going to do is spray some Aquatex onto the awning rail. That will actually help slide the awning into the rail and make it a lot easier for me to pull through the caravan channel. The awning itself is impregnated with this Aquatex. It's a waterproof agent, so it can touch any part of the awning, it will not affect it at all. I've now laid all the poles out in the right place on the awning carpet. All the roof poles have hooks on the end. They are identical. However, the middle roof pole on the actual Magnum has no bayonet fitting on it. The two outside ones have a bayonet joint. So the one without the bayonet is the middle pole. As when put up a full awning, is the middle leg. I insert the two cross members to make a small letter T to help me assist put the awning up at a later stage. The next job is to slide the canvas through the caravan channel. I actually find it easier to feed this in from the back end of the caravan, but you can either feed it in from the front or the back, it makes no difference. Once you've pulled the awning in the desired position of where you want it to go onto the actual caravan, it is now time to erect the frame. The first job is to put onto the fix-on blocks onto the awning rail, which your poles then can hook into. There are three fix-ons to put onto the Magnum, one in the middle and one at each side. All we need to do is find the middle seam in the roof, the eyelet to be right on that seam, so the middle roof pole will be exactly in the middle, onto the profile rail and clip together. When fitting the fix-on to the side, you must ensure that the hole here, where the hook goes into, is right in the seam of where the roof and the side panel meets. By doing this, you will achieve that your roof pole will be right in the seam in the correct place. Again, up to the profile and push together. So the eyelet now here is right in this seam here where the roof and the side will meet. And the same on the other side, up to the profile and push together. As for my tip as putting a full awning up, it's the same as a porch awning. If you make a small letter T, find the eyelet on top of the leg, push into the front, insert the spike to the eyelet, connecting the leg and leaving at a 45-degree angle. You can now work on the rest of the frame. Next pole is the centre roof pole. Into the fix-on, move into the front, and now while we're in this position, while the awning's nice and low, what we would do, we would tension the middle roof pole as much as you can. Now once this has been done, there is no need for me to do that or try and reach that pole at any other stage. Now we move out to the outside legs, inserting the leg here, take into the eyelet, and now connecting the roof pole into the fix-on and into the leg, into the bayonet, twist and then tension slightly. As you can see from here, because the fix-on, the eyelet of the fix-on is in the seam of the roof and the side panel, the roof pole is actually following the seam all the way along to the front. Now the same on the left hand side, exactly the same. The 3 canopy poles here are all identical, so it makes no difference which one you use. That's why we don't colour code the frame, because we believe it's one of the simplest frames to put up. Insert each canopy pole into the legs. Ensuring that the clamp is going to be away from the canvas. Repeat in the middle and on the other side. And now it's time to put the canopy poles through the sleeve along the front. Again, ensuring that the clamp is away from the canvas, over the eyelet, and tension slightly. The same procedure on the other side. Moving to the middle, the first eyelet dome shape first, and the second pole the flat edge first, so when it meets the other one you've got flat edge to flat edge. And at this point here now, because the main roof pole in the awning has been tensioned, we can now tension this middle one fully as far as you can. Now we need to tension up all the rest of the poles in the awning. Before doing so, I'm going to ensure that all the zips are done up. It makes life a lot easier. Now the first pole I'm going to tension up is the centre leg. What we need to do is go down to the bottom, where you will find a piece of material called a regulator tab. Now this regulator tab does 2 things. It locks the canvas onto the frame, and it also dictates to you the height of your pegging rubbers. Because we're on a nice level ground, I'm going to use the second hole down. The shoe itself has got a spike on the bottom. You place the spike in the hole, ensuring the straight edge is against the regulator tab. Tension up the leg as tight as you can and lock into position. It's now the same procedure for the left and the right hand side leg. Placing the spike in the hole, tension up the leg, nice and tight, and click into position. I am now going to tension up this roof pole. Ensure that the extra reinforcement is behind the pole. Unzip the panel. Just around the corners, and then tension the pole. The reason I do this is because I am now only going to tension up a little piece of material instead of the whole side, and I will be able to get a lot better tension on the canvas. Once tensioned, zip the panel back up. And finally the front. Now we've done the poles on the inside, the remaining poles are the canopy poles. Because I've already done the middle one here, I don't have to stretch up and do it. It's only the two outside ones. So I pull the hook, bend the pole slightly down to stop it sliding back in, and then tension. Now if I slightly bend the pole down, it locks the pole in a position so it can't slide back in, and then clamp. Now the last two remaining poles in the canopy. This gives me a really nice tight canopy. The first thing to do is slide a single click onto the beading behind the pad. Sliding all the way up to the top, and the other one to follow. When clamping the pole to the roof pole, it has a quick release system. So once it's set up at the right position, when you go up to the pole, all we have to do is just put that lever down to lock it into place. Also, behind here, the clamp, there's a gap. The idea of this gap here is when we put it up to the roof pole, the fix-on sits in that gap position, so the leg can be able to be fitted right against the caravan wall. Now to clamp the leg to the roof pole, ensuring that this piece of material is behind the roof pole to protect, and move in as close as you can to the caravan, and a simple lever down. As with the regulator tabs on the front, we bring the leg down and the spike of the foot has to go into one of these holes. Now, the hole you need to use all depends on what site you're on, what pitch and what caravan. You will find on different sites you would use different holes. You just need to find the one that's the closest that is required. The spike goes into the eyelet and tension. Now we have the same procedure on the other side of the awning, exactly the same. Sliding two pieces of single click on the beading. Again, ensuring that the material is behind the pole, and just lock the lever down and tension. Now all we need to do is now clip this onto the leg. It's giving you a nice seal against your caravan. Now if I pull this pad out slightly, you will see that there's a pad on the inside and the outside. That gives you a better seal. And the nice thing is you don't tie the pad around the leg. And now the same on the right hand side. I'm going to put into the ground is one into the shoe. What we need to do is push the leg against the caravan as far as we can, pegging down so we get a nice seal down the side. Then the next point is the pegging rubber that's on a belt and buckle. This is pegged behind and underneath the caravan. So, because it's on a belt and buckle, we can place the peg in the ground, place the rubber over the peg, and then pull the belt and buckle nice and tight, taking and pulling the awning to the caravan. Also ensuring wherever there's a zip, always cross the pegging points over, so one panel is pulling against the other panel. The next peg is the shoe on the front foot. pulling the leg into the seam, nice and taut, pushing the peg into the shoe so the leg doesn't move, and while I'm here, peg this one down here. This now gives me a perfect straight line down the side of the awning to put all the side pegs in. And now it's exactly the same procedure on the opposite side. You peg the foot down first against the caravan, and again, while I'm here, I will do these 2 pegging points. Once again, move into the front, pull the leg into the seam, peg the foot down so it doesn't move, with my perfect straight edge. Now the next peg is this one here. If we pull the leg into the position so it's in between the 2 legs, you've got a nice straight edge, and then for the rest of the pegs. Another tip I can give you is this peg here by the door. If I'm going to decide to use this door here, the pegging point down the bottom, instead of pegging it straight, if we pull at an angle and peg down, when I now open the door, and the door is rolled back, it's still keeping that nice and taut on the panel. And now it's time to dress up the awnings. First part of this is to hang the curtains up. These curtain clips have to be put on to this curtain rail here. All we need to do is put the groove onto the rail, and once into position, we just push and lock it into position. Once this curtain hook is on here, it stays on there. There's no need to take it off. So we only do this job once. The next task which we have to do is to put these wheels into these eyelets. Now we have a choice here. Which way would you like the print? Once you've decided which way you would like the curtains to face, push the wheels into the eyelet, like so, all the way along the curtain. Once all the eyelets are actually in the curtain eyelets, all we need now to do is to place these wheels into these grooves. As we do so, you will actually hear them clicking into position. The reason they click is they're actually in there nice and firm now and won't fall out. The reason we like this system is because we end up with nice pleats as you would do at home. The curtains stay on the track, and when we take the awning down and we need to take the curtains off, all we need to do is just lift them off the suitcases, leaving the suitcases on the awning. So literally all you have to do the next time you put the awning up is just to clip them into position. The final part is to put the curtain tie on. Find the tie that's sewn onto the awning, clip into position, around the curtain, and clip the other side. Now the final pegging are the 2 triangle panels on each side. Put the pegging rubber towards the wheel, a common question I'm actually always asked is, how do we hold the curtain back to the side when we draw the curtains? As you can see, when we close the curtains, there's a gap down the back of the curtains. To hold these against the canvas, the awnings are supplied with elastic with a toggle on each end. This toggle is inserted into a hole which is down by the door tie. There's a hole that's been heated. You push the toggle through, taking the elastic to the other side. This enabling the curtain not to flap around. Once all the curtains have been erected, we need to get outside the awning, so we need to open a door. For this purpose, I'm going to use this door at the front. We need to place the door ties on the one that's sewn actually onto the awning. We unzip the door. And roll the door up. Taking the door tie to the little tiny one that's sewn on the outside. And because I've pegged the one down by the door at an angle, it's still pulling that door panel nice and tight.